All right, here we are. Welcome to a live stream. So we're just gonna have a fun stream. I'm gonna wait a little for some more people to roll in, but we'll probably be on for at least 45 minutes to an hour, assuming we have no technical difficulties, which hopefully goes well.
Right.
Technical difficulties with streaming, as always can happen. But what we want to do today is we wanted to show you guys xBloom Studio, give you guys kind of an update, what's different, and kind of all just hang out. This is a casual unveiling. We have a fancy video that will be up on the YouTube channel on, we had a whole commercial. It was pretty cool to shoot that.
Yeah, production video.
Video. But this is what we're going to show you guys today is reality. This is what this is. And also, if you guys haven't seen yet, we uploaded an unboxing video and kind of that first setup of Studio. But let me go ahead and let's take a look at the chat. So yeah, we're going to kind of go through some of this stuff, and then we'll go into answering any sort of questions you may have. So feel free to leave any of the questions you have on Studio or anything xBloom related in the chat, and we'll try to catch up with everything as the stream goes on. But otherwise, it's
going to be a very casual and fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. So feel free to let us know if there's any questions or comments.
Yeah, but I think we can start with a reintroduction of us. If you haven't, if people don't know who you are,
Yes.
people don't know who I am, we'll do a reintroduction. This video will be, on the YouTube channel after the stream. Should save as a video, so you guys can always catch up on it. But otherwise, let's do a reintro.
Yeah, for sure. For those people who do not know me, my name is Richard Xu. I'm the co-founder and one of the designers of xBloom. Very, very happy to be here. Super thrilled. This is obviously a very big day for xBloom. Finally, we're able to show you the months of hard work and dedication from an incredible team. We have people in Colorado, in Bay Area, in China. Everyone is being united with one mission. So we're very happy to be here. But unfortunately, the start of the show today is not about the team, it's about this machine. This machine is actually the most intelligent and versatile machine that we have ever built. So I think it will revolutionize a lot of people's way of thinking about specialty coffee. Mm-hmm. I think xBloom is a brand we started, Ray and I, my co-founder, started about 2.5 years ago. With the sole mission of democratizing the fine coffee experience. Finding that fine balance between technology, automation on one end, and tradition, ritual on the other end is very tricky and challenging. So we feel very fortunate to have a very strong community, a very strong people advisor to tell us, all these things with their opinions about the design that has led us to the design of this machine. Mm-hmm. So today I feel very proud, and on behalf of the team, to unveil this machine called xBloom Studio. There's actually two meanings of the name behind Studio.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah. So the Studio, as you can see, there's a grinder, scale, and a brewer, all integrated very nicely into a very sleek design, just like a Studio, right? It's very functional, very compact. That's the first layer of its meaning. The second layer is actually we want this machine to create a space for your creativity, your imagination, where you can execute them, you can perform all your experimentations on this machine. So that's the two layers of meaning of Studio. Hope you will actually enjoy it, and I cannot wait for you to actually experience this machine.
Yeah, so we will kind of dive into it, and Richard's gonna go and help me with everything because there's so much to show off. But I could do a real quick introduction myself. So I'm Brian. I run a lot of the coffee products amongst many other things here, helping out the team. And I'm just super happy to be able to show you guys Studio. Yeah, well, I think we can kind of get into it by just brewing some coffee. So obviously we have a lot of stuff to go through. You guys can totally check out the website and you can see some of those, the fancy photos we've shot for all of these and some of that. But we'll show you guys just live some of the different features of Studio. So I'm just going to dive right into it. I don't know if you want to come and help me out.
Yeah, well,
here. Yeah, but we're just trying to do something fun. And if you guys like these live streams, we can totally do more of them. I know a lot of people like to see us put out some more of this content, so happy to do that. But I want to show you guys just a closer up of Studio here. So we have two different colors. We got black and white. And the way to think about Studio is it's got three different components. So we have a grinder, a brewer, and a scale. And you can use all of these independently of each other, or you can go into full automation for each of them. So you can start to combine all the different features together and really fine tune what kind of coffee brewing experience you truly want. So I don't even know where to begin nowadays, because I look at this and I'm like, there's so many different ways to brew coffee and it's a lot of fun. So the big difference between original and Studio is we've added these knobs here. So they're basically ways to get into each of the different sections of Studio. So we have our grinder, which you just tap into there. You then can adjust things like grind size. Our grinder can go as 80 steps, so a lot of options there. You can go from espresso all the way to cold brew, so very, very fine to cold, all the way to something coarse like cold brew. We've managed to come up with this nice little grind size reference chart on the back of the reservoir here. But you can adjust a bunch of different grind sizes for any of your coffee brewing. So you can use Studio as a standalone grinder for many of your coffee brewing applications. The burrs we have in here are the same 48 millimeter conical burrs that you've probably tasted and hopefully you've tasted in original, and they're fantastic. But what we've added on this machine is the ability to adjust RPM. So you can go from 60 to 120 RPM and you have just another layer of control with how you want your coffee to be presented. I know we got Caleb and some of our other team members in the chat answering questions. So feel free to leave your questions in there, and I'll get to them, or Caleb or somebody in the chat will get to them. And so this is the grinder, and obviously we have this LED matrix display here. And to do any sort of action, you now have the ability to kind of start and stop on the fly like this. We have this play button and X button here, if you guys can see that. So I'm just going to exit out of there real quick. I'm just going to do that overview of everything. We then have our brewer. So this brewer here can go from 3 mils a second to 3.5 mils a second. So we have adjustable flow rate, which you can adjust in the app. So if you want your coffee to be presented differently, you totally can do that. And you can on the fly adjust, you can on the fly just basically brew straight out of here. So with this area, you can brew using our lovely Omni dripper, or you can stick any of your brewers. Anything that can fit in this space is fair game, and we really would love to see what people come up with. But for example, here I got a V60 here, and I can adjust different things like pouring patterns. So on the fly, I can do something like a circle pour, a center pour, or a spiral pour. I can on the fly adjust temperature as well. So, and I can even pause my my brew. So I'll probably show you guys a closer demo of this as we get further. And then finally, this has been kind of a big community request of us, is we've added a scale. So here is a scale. You can tare. It's really fast and responsive. And I can put stuff onto here and you should see the scale adjust. I can just hit the T there for tare. So you can use this as a full coffee brewing experience at home. You weigh out your coffee, grind, and brew all in one machine, and you have full control over if you want to feel like a DJ and play around with the knobs like this, or if you want to get into our app, we'll show off the app later on as well. But actually we'll show it off right now, but briefly. But you guys can actually go to the App Store and download the app if you want to see what it looks like. But we have a bunch of different ways of playing around with how you brew. So you can kind of get into, I hope you guys can see this, but you can see like grinder, brewer, scale. We have recipes. You can build recipes for the studio and share it with other people. So if people have other studios, share your recipes for a coffee with them, and even all the way down to like a brewer. If you're brewing using the XPods, the Omni Dripper, you're say using something like a V60, you can set all of that up in the app and share those recipes with people. You also can, and this is kind of a thing for some of you coffee nerds out there, is we have that crazy level of control with the flow rates and all of that, but a really fun one that a lot of coffee enthusiasts have requested is the ability to bypass certain sections of the machine. As I mentioned before, you can use everything independently of each other, but you also can use it, you also can kind of add automation to that. So what's been awesome about this is, I'll give you guys a quick example. We've switched over to these recipe cards if you haven't seen them already, but I can take my recipe card here, which has a grind size and a ton of pouring patterns and all of that. I scanned it there and it says xBloom recipe card. So this comes with the machine. It tells you about every single thing, all the different pours here. I can fully adjust the pouring patterns, the temperature, all of that in here, and I can send that to my machine and have it brew. But I also can turn this off. I can turn off using the grinder here. So this is saying, oh, you're gonna use the grinder, you're gonna use like maybe pods, or you're gonna use maybe the Omni Dripper, but say you wanted to play around with other coffee grinders and you just wanted a really, really consistent standalone brewer, you can totally do that. So you actually can just on the machine here, bypass the actual grinder there, or you could do this in the app. But it's a really, you can use this machine entirely appless if you want to, and you can have different recipe cards. We will be coming out with a variety of recipe cards for different coffees and different brewers. So it's going to be pretty fun there. But right now we just give you this nice 3-pour recipe. But yeah, so that's kind of this big feature overview of just the different sections of Studio. I'm gonna go ahead and also show you some other stuff as well. So over here, we have a removable drip tray. We've been kind of brewing coffee here, but it's 2 pieces. And this is, of course, is the scale. This drip tray is dishwasher safe. It actually does a pretty good job at capturing any sort of coffee dust or grounds and excess water, say from your dripper. But you can brew a coffee and just leave your dripper and have some of that excess coffee sit on here, and it's completely fine. And also, so that's this. And then also here, reservoir is much larger on Studio here. So Studio here has a 950 milliliter reservoir. You can fit a little bit more in there, but we recommend you use 950 mils. Of course, it has a hinge on the top to protect you from any dust. On this side of the machine as well, there is there's a cover for a sliding cover for the grinder chute, so you can open and close that depending on how anal you are about dust and all of that. So you can cover things up, and then also at the back, I know some of you guys will really appreciate this one, is we have the detachable power cable. So you can kind of set up your kitchen in a very different way. You're not tied down to just having like a short cable. You can play around, with different power cables you fit in here. And a big one here is plumb-in. So you can actually take a 1/4 inch and plug it in here, and you can run it into any tank you want. You don't need an external pump or anything like that. It does a fantastic job with just plumbing in. So it's very, very convenient in that sense. So yeah, that's kind of like just this really, really high level overview of Studio. I'm going to now get into brewing. So let's go and actually brew some. Kind of a little fun thing I don't know if this was intentional with this design, but you can take your phone and you can, the other way. It's hard to do it this way. This way. I'm gonna have Richard do this.
Oh, right, let me do it.
Yeah. I'm sitting down, so everything's reversed. But you can set your phone up as a live display, and it might be hard to see on the camera here, but when we are brewing, we can see all data about our brew live. So it's pretty cool there. So okay, yeah, I hope that was fun. You know, I got to talk about the machine. It's always fun to talk about the machine. Now I'm gonna go and actually brew some coffee. I guess I have so many choices in how I brew, which is always fun for live demonstrations. But you know, why don't I brew? Let's brew a V60. I'm gonna start with a V60. I'll probably brew an AeroPress after because we're working with AeroPress. AeroPress is a cool one to show off. And then I also I'll gradually start talking about this catch cup that we've developed because you'll see it in action. So this is a basic demonstration of you are gonna brew using your own dripper and your own coffee. This is how you do it. So make sure the machine's on. And I'm gonna do everything manual. I'm not even gonna use the app, but you should see some of that information on the app as we kind of get into it. But anyway, gonna tap into I always tap the wrong direction because I'm used to looking at the front here. So the first one here is gonna tap into our scale. I'm gonna take some coffee. Let's brew this one, which doesn't knock stuff over. This is a coffee from Poland's Gold, which is a roaster we work with from Tokyo, Japan, and this is a coffee from Ecuador from a producer called Pepe Hijan, and this is his Sidra Wave natural processed coffee. So scale is actually, I also want to mention you can calibrate everything. Grinder is calibratable, scale is calibratable. Most of these things is, you know, you could totally make sure they're set up. I'm just going to weigh out 15 grams as an example. Something close to 15 grams. Here we go, 15 grams. Exit out of that scale there. Then I'm actually going to grind the coffee. So take this here. I'm going to pour the coffee in. It's always hard to pour coffee in when you're sitting down. And then this has 4 magnets here, and this magnets onto the grinder. It also fits 48mm portafilters. So you could actually put it on your portafilter. There's a portafilter here. I'll show you a portafilter example real quick. So say you wanted to grind into here, you can do your some distribution, but it fits directly on it here. So you can grind your espresso. This is anti-static, which is awesome. And the grinder also has ionizer in it and has sweepers in there. Retention is incredibly low and it's incredibly clean. But yeah, you can grind like right into here, stick it on your portafilter, and use it just like this. So if you wanted to do that, you totally can. But we're gonna make some pour over right here because I'm feeling like making some pour over. So I stick the catch-up onto there. Now I'm gonna get into the grinder. So, you know, I'm using each of these components individually, and I think that's what's so fun about brewing with Studio. We have a bunch of different suggested grind size options, all the way from 1 to 80, your espresso, AeroPress, pour over, cold brew, and all of that. Personally, I like slightly finer grinds for my pour over, so I'm gonna put this to something like 46, 47, and I'm also gonna do something fun, which is adjust our RPM. I find the flavor profile of this grinder to be amazing at lower RPMs. So I said the 60 is going to lower the size or increase the size, and it's going to begin grinding. Of course, if you set your RPM lower, it's gonna, and depending how fine you grind, it's gonna take longer or shorter, depending on what coffee you're using. Now, it's kind of fun. What I can do next is I can opt to brew this full manual, so I can take this and I can dump it into here and begin brewing, or I could actually go and tap into pre-programmed recipes and turn off the grinder and set it and forget it and use the pre-programmed pouring, or I can even fine-tune it further using the app. So I'm just gonna actually do this, pour it into here. This is just an 01 V60, but depending on what you want to use, you can totally fit different brewers in here. It's always hard to do this on the side here, but I'm going to do a full manual brew here. So the first thing that I like to do is, set the temperature. So I'm going to brew this slightly hotter, 94 Celsius. You can need to go up to like 95. And then we also have something called boiling point, which should be, it's a little bit hotter than that. But we're always like kind of fine tuning some of these temperatures. And that's temperature at the spout. Start this off here and you just hit start. This is now going to begin brewing. And it's going to do two things. Is like you have a lot of control over the actual pouring pattern that you can do it live. And because I'm using my own brewer here, I can pause. I'm just going to let this bloom. And I can manually agitate. I can use something like a wet WDT tool, get right into there. So I have a ton of control over how I want to express my coffee, right? How I want to brew my coffee is I can just do all of that on the fly. I have control, incredible consistency over what the pattern is, and I can have more control over physical and manual agitation. Next up, I'm just going to show you guys some examples while this brew is happening of what you can do. I'm just going to do a center pour, so I let that bloom for a bit. So as you guys can see there, it's pouring in the center, and I have my timer and the scale is going. I can, on the fly, change my pouring pattern. So I just change it from a center to a spiral. You see it moving. I can even change it to a large, wide circle. And I can, again, start and stop this whenever I want. I also can do something which is temperature profiling. So while this is pouring, I can lower the temperature or even increase the temperature on the fly. And there you go. I'm just going to pause this and let this drain through. And I'm just going to do another pour, and I'll be done. Because I'm using 15 grams, probably going to brew to about 240, 250 mils. And again, I can just agitate the dripper in any sort of way I want. So this is a lot of fun because you can take a lot of different brewers and stick it under here. And you can start to really tap into just take advantage of the fact that this is very, very consistent. This is just distributing water in the exact same way, in the exact same pattern every single time, right? So as long as you center things properly, you're gonna get a very consistent brew every single time. Getting some phone notifications there. Then I'm just wrapping up there. I'm just gonna agitate, swirl, and tap exactly how I would brew a V60. So, you can do full control into how you're brewing your coffee. You can take a look at your phone here. So, yeah, that's kind of a basic walkthrough of brewing your own coffee and just using all the different components of Studio just by itself to brew a great cup of coffee. Again, you can use any of these components individually. So it's super flexible in terms of how you want to brew. There you go. I guess I will enjoy some of this, and I can start to take a look at the chat in a little. Oh, do we need to brighten anything?
Yeah.
Oh, there's like a little ISO button here, or hit to the right dial.
This one. Yeah.
No, hold on. We're gonna make it a little brighter so you guys can see.
Yeah.
There, let me do this. Yeah, so it's just here.
I think just the machine.
Just a machine? Okay, here we go. Okay. All right. As I said, casual stream. We have 2 people in this room, and this is what we produce this amazing.
Caleb was remotely.
Yeah. We got some people, some of our team members helping us out here. But yeah, so there you go. Just brewed some nice. This coffee's been great. Poland's Gold, fantastic roaster. So yeah, like right there, I just used my own coffee. I weighed out my own coffee. I did an entire manual brew. I didn't even use the app at all there. And now it's now like that's one thing. That's just one of many things you can do with Studio. The next things that we can kind of tap into are some of our autopiloted recipes. I think these are fun to real quick show off, and we can also show off the app. So I think we have some requests in the app, or show off the app. I'm gonna get caffeinated. You know, we're doing these streams at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. So I got the app here. I've named it Brian's xBloom, and it says it's connected. So a big difference with this machine is now Bluetooth. So this, as long as your phone has Bluetooth, you're able to Bluetooth right into the machine, and to send recipes and get all of that information, you just need to be in the proximity. So be nearby. Let's see. I'm gonna use this recipe as an example here. So I scanned this recipe in here. Let me see if you guys can see this. We can also zoom in. We have the ability to zoom on this camera. Okay, so we got the zoom in here. So here's my information on the recipe, right? So if say you got our XPods, like, you know, these types of coffees and whatnot, you can go in and look at all the information. You know, we love to show that off always, but I can start to go in and I'm gonna try to show this off here. I can go in and edit. So back here, I can go and edit this recipe. So I can now choose, like, do I want to keep the grinder on? What is the setting for that? Or maybe bypass it, right? Like, say you have your own really fancy grinders at home and you just want to use a very consistent brewer, you can totally do that. The next things that you can do is I can set it, you know, when I'm sharing my recipes and all of that, I can change different, you know, what am I using? Am I using an XPod recipe? Am I using the Omni Dripper? We can show a demo of the Omni Dripper later on. Or am I using my own brewers? Omni Dripper this time around can actually go to a higher dose. So you can go up to 18 grams pretty comfortably, depending on coffee, of course. And then I can get into the rest of the pouring pattern. So this is just what you would do if you're brewing pour over, but laid out here. So all of the different you know, pouring recipes, and I can start to make kind of micro adjustments like temperature, pouring pattern, what flow rate, how long, all the things that if you were a coffee nerd you would probably care about are in here. So, and of course I can adjust ratio and so on and so forth. Say I have a recipe, I want to save a recipe, let's call it, well, I just called it basic brew. Down here, so you know, I got a bunch of different recipes. I can share it by hitting the share button down there, and if you have a friend, you can text it to them, you can email them, you can, you know, get a link to it, and they can load it into their app and begin brewing. So say, you know, I imagine a world where it's like, say you have a bunch of friends who have the same coffee, same brewers. You know, and maybe you don't even want to use our grinder. Everybody owns the same grinder in some other, you know, other city or something. You guys can all brew the same recipe and taste virtually the same cup, which is super fun. I think that's actually really awesome. But of course, like it's the flexibility now is out there where it's like you can start pairing Studio with different brewers, different grinders, different coffee setups, and you can integrate this into most people's setup in some sort of way, all the way from people who are beginning to brew coffee and they want a fully automated solution using XPods, which we haven't even talked about, all the way to crazy coffee nerds who own $3,000 to $4,000 coffee grinders and they want to just have a consistent brewer. They can use their own grinders, and of course you can use your own coffees and all of that. So it's been pretty fun to actually bring this out there because it's just a lot of fun now in terms of recipe creation, recipe sharing, how flexible you want yours or your friend's coffee brewing experience to be. I'm really good at talking, right? Cool. So let me look at some of the questions on the chat, and then we'll go ahead and we can brew some more coffee. But I see that there are about 100 of you guys on, so that's awesome. I hope you guys have been enjoying this so far. Let me catch up on some chat questions. Is there a way to change the readout to Fahrenheit and ounces instead of Celsius and milliliters? Yes. So at the initial setup, if you watch this video we upload to the YouTube channel, there is an initial setup of the machine, and you can change between what units you want in terms of temperature. We just happen to have this machine set up in Celsius, but you can change it to Fahrenheit. You can also change all of the scale to be in grams or milliliters, which is the same, or ounces. And you also can, on that initial setup, you can change if you want to have the machine plumbed in, or you wanted to run it off of a reservoir, so on and so forth. And then also after that, there will be a calibration. So on this, you basically can kind of tap into each of these menus. I just did it, how you do it right now, get into the grinder, tap it 3 times, and it's gonna calibrate. So I'm just running through a calibration real quick here for you, and you see a percentage, what's gonna happen. You know, a lot of the times people ask about, hey, is my grinder calibrated? Is my grinder calibrated, right? It doesn't matter what grinder you own, you always ask about what's 0 point, what's calibration, all of that. We've made it very easy for you to just, you know, it's literally a display that tells you how far your calibration procedure is. It's gonna make some noise, but if you put your ear up to it, you will hear the burrs move. So I'm just doing a live calibration for you guys. It's pretty quick, significantly faster than our original machine for this application. This coffee is tasting nice. All right. I'm catching up on the chat here. Let me quickly talk about what else you get with the machine, and then we can do an Omni Dripper brew, because this Omni Dripper is pretty fun. Or we've come out with Omni Dripper 2, so it's a little bit of an upgrade. So we have a few awesome launch bundles that we've come up with. So the first one is anybody who picks up the machine right now. This is a limited quantity. We partner with Proud Mary, and we're gonna offer a deluxe tin of coffee. So you're going to get the deluxe coffee, you're going to get a recipe just for this coffee, and you can kind of brew it by yourself using Omni Dripper. Like I did it manual brew of something like a V60 and all of that. Or you can tap into an autopiloted recipe. That's going to be available. It's currently available. So if you want to pick it up, go to the site, and that's going to come with the first however many orders, and that's going to be there. The next one that we have is a fun launch bundle. We've partnered with AeroPress, so we're going to have some. Is an AeroPress Clear with the flow control cap, and AeroPress is a really fun one to show off. I'll do an Omni Dripper, and if we have some time, I'll show off an AeroPress recipe, but otherwise there will be a video just on all of these. So we've come out with some videos on how to brew with Studio, and you guys will see those kind of drip out in the next coming weeks. And then of course, with the machine, you get some paper filters. We have the Studio paper filters. If you want to see exactly what you get, right, you can watch my unboxing video that I shot the other day, but you're gonna get X pods, you're gonna get cleaning brush, you're gonna get manual, you're gonna get recipe card, a lot of fun goodies, detachable power cable, so on and so forth. So out of the box, we wanted to be able to give you coffee for you to actually brew, and that's why we've decided to put our X pods in the packaging. So you will be able to use the machine right when you get it. Yeah. So yeah, let me now, let me see what else it is. Oh, I also can show you guys the white machine real quick, if this is here. So obviously we have two colors here. White is here, and if you see there, that's what the display looks like. You can see that everything is still nice and visible. And a little bit of a close-up again of how our menus work is you tap into there and you use the left and right, just go left and right on the knob. You can see the numbers are nice and responsive. The colors, the LEDs look great, and that's how you do it. So yeah, if you were curious about what the LEDs look like on the white machine, that is what it looks like. But yeah, slight color variances between at launch. If you guys have any requests on colors, let us know. But yeah, so this is, I like the black machine a lot. I mean, that's why I use it in the videos. But I know everybody wants different colors, but this is what we came out with for launch. Maybe we'll come out with you can make a panda version of it. You can swap the drip trays. Yeah, so that's just brewing your coffee on your own. Of course, you still have the options to brew XPods. So if you really wanted to tap into just brewing if I can get an XPod here, it's the exact same operation. So here, stick on the XPod dock. We'll use like a recipe card here. Oops, this might be a little old. Sometimes you have like we have the tags that some of the, we're kind of shifting. So just an FYI of anybody watching, we are really shifting away from putting RFID tags on our XPods. We've kind of really shifted over to this style where all of our cards now, or pods, come in this new packaging. They come with a recipe card that you can use a ton of times. I mean, it's infinite use. And you can now see all of that in the app. But like, this is basically how it works. It's like, you do this. And if you wanted to, one thing I wanted to mention is with these recipe cards, on the machine now, you don't need to go into the app. You can adjust a bunch of things like grind size and ratio. So you can go right in and say you're brewing your pods, you like how the coffee's, or you want to adjust how the coffee tastes a little. You can on the fly adjust grind size and also the ratio. This is also kind of fun too if, say, you wanted to utilize a roaster's pour over recipe. So for example, we partner with so many different roasters, and you wanted to just use their pour over recipe for a different dripper. What you could do is when you scan, it'll load up that recipe, but you could just turn off the grinder. So you could end up using a different grinder and all of that, and just utilize that pour over recipe. It's pretty fun. So we want to just like make this coffee brewing experience very interesting, right? Like very fun. Tap into whatever combination of coffees. Use different grinders with Studio. Use different brewers with Studio. That's something that like I think we're very proud of, is like just to be able to this complements anybody's coffee experience in some sort of way, and I think that makes me very excited, at least. Okay. Black and red Studio. I want a blue or a pink Studio. But yeah, maybe if you guys want it, we'll look at some of those fancier colors later on. Can you set low temperature for the pre-infusion and bloom? So yes, you can. Because we're using instant heaters, you can go and really get in there and temp profile. You can do that literally on the fly by adjusting it via knobs if you're brewing manually, or in the app, right? You can set your first bloom to be a lower temperature than the second and third and fourth pours of your pour over. Yes, the filters for, so actually we'll brew in a Omni Dripper brew. I have filters that are covered here. Let me open, I have other filters here. And then if we got some time, we'll brew on our AeroPress as well. But this is how it works. So right out of the box, you get paper filters. These are the xBloom paper filters, and you get Omni Dripper. So you can use it right here. These fit 155 filters. So you push this in, and something cool that we've done is we've added these little like walls or little ridges here. So if you've ever brewed using a tiny dripper and you put 155 filters, you sometimes get paper filters that like pop out. This one does a really good job at keeping them in here. And then you get our, I came up with this name, xBloom 3-part recipe. I hope you enjoy it. But that's here. And then at the bottom of this, of Omni Dripper, there are interchangeable bases. We currently have one which we call the Hyperflow base here. This is made of Triton. Might come out with some different bases later on, but for now, I think this is pretty good. It does a great job. Fast flow rate. If you've ever brewed using a fast flow rate flat bottom dripper, that's the profile we like, and we currently have that. To actually brew with this, take off the XPod dock, and then you stick that guy on, and then you can kind of begin brew. Oh, I need to actually weigh out some coffee, so let me go and do that. Let's brew. I have so many coffee choices. I'll brew some Manhattan. Yeah, we have a lot of different coffees out here on the side, and what's nice about this is it also, the little dosing cup, is it works really well as a dosing, just like a little dosing tray. I like to use it as a dosing tray, so it keeps everything kind of flush because you can kind of always keep it there. But if you're brewing using XPods or Omni Dripper, just make sure it's not on here. You know, make sure you take it off because like classic or original xBloom, the arm moves back here to grind and then moves back to brew. Just tear here. So yeah, we're gonna brew. I know a lot of people really enjoyed the reusable dripper with original. This here is a little bit more flexible because we have different knobs, and you can adjust the ratio. So I'm gonna show you guys that on the fly. But personally, I like 15 grams in Omni Dripper. I actually really like 15 grams in a lot of these drippers, if you haven't noticed. But you can brew larger doses now on Studio. And because you can plumb in and because you can actually adjust a lot of how you brew and you can fit different brewers here, you have a lot of flexibility in terms of what size brewer you use. But we find a lot of people really still like a very high quality single cup, but you could tap into using larger brewers. Anything, like again, anything you can fit on here, fair game. And we'd love to see you guys tap into that. So I'm just gonna pour my coffee in. And now I'm gonna tap into using Omni Dripper. So it's gonna go into here. Again, take this arm off. I'm gonna exit here. And just, this is like literally right out of the box experience of what you can do. Tap into here. I can now adjust my grind size. Say I want it to be finer or coarser, I can go and do that. This by default is a pretty safe recipe, so it works well for a majority of coffees. And I can even go in and adjust my ratio. So say I'll just make it 1:16. I'm gonna put my carafe here. And then I just hit start. So what's gonna happen is the arm's gonna go up here. It's gonna adjust the grind size. For those of you wondering, I'm bringing more Pepe on. This is a deoxidator washed Typica Mejorado from roasted by Manhattan. So just brewing some Pepe on coffees. And because this is also, Omni Dripper 2 is also made of the same anti-static material as our catch cup here. So low static and the ionizer. It's a very clean brewing experience. We get that agitation. I know people love to see the agitation, you know, the arm go back and forth. So we have physical agitation there. So if you brew using Omni Dripper or you brew using XPods, you can adjust that, of course, in the app. And now you can set it and forget it. So this was an example of I'm using my own coffee, but I slightly want to adjust things. I can do that. So it's very fun in the sense of how much control you actually want to get into. You can really tap into how much of a coffee nerd you want to be. Again, you can use, you know, all this fully manual. You can, of course, make some adjustments here, but you can now say, oh, I want to use my own coffee. I want to use the xBloom dripper, the Omni dripper, and I want to use pre-programmed recipe. Can totally do that, and of course, can do my own brewers. So yeah, I'm rambling on and on about the different ways you can brew using Studio, but it's really that flexible. That's why there's so many choices on how you want to express your coffee and enjoy coffee brewing. Okay, I'm catching up on the chat here. There is also, you know, an actual scale here. So there's overflow protection as well. So depending on you know, what coffee you use, we don't want to let you you know, create a big mess. Although if you did create a big mess, we have a drip tray here that is dishwasher safe. So what this does is, this is just, right now this specific recipe is a little safer, on the safer side for preventing overflow, but you basically just let this run. And then I can also turn, you know, exit out of this, and you can exit out of a brew very easily on Studio. But I want to taste this coffee, so I'm just gonna let it brew. We have some different colors. Oh wow, people like black, midnight black. Maybe we need to show the white machine off some more. There's a little vote happening. So some differences between white and black are, obviously the arms are different. I think you guys can see that here.
All metal.
Yeah, these are, oh yeah, these are nice.
The knobs are metal too.
The knobs are metal. So here, see, it's metal. So here's the difference between black and white. I was looking for things, I have too many things. Yep. Drip trays are also, you know, same type of plastic finish, but different colors. And then these arms here are actually omnidirectional, so you can fit them any direction you want, and your XPod sits in like so, sort of. I can't do this easily. There we go. My arm is not straight like the machine. But yeah, you can fit it in any direction. So that's been kind of like a nice little update there. Also, anybody who's brewed using original, oh yeah, so there we go, that brew finished there. I think I set it a little too fine, so that's why I took a little longer for the grind. And but yeah, so yeah, now that's done, we'll also see we have tapped into some fun little icons. So if the machine's just sitting here, we have like a little heart symbol that's gonna show up. Here, it's got a little coffee mug, you know, your coffee's done brewing. And how you get out of this is, because we have a scale here, we just basically say, oh, if the weight changes, get back and let you brew more coffee. So watch it, take this off. Now I can brew more coffee. So it's very convenient, you know, like I can use full pods. This here, I think, is just kind of that layer below a little, which is use your own coffee, but let's use the provided brewer. And then earlier at the beginning of the stream, I used my entire, you know, I used my own brewer, my own coffee, and I manually brewed it just with the dials and the knobs on the machine. So yeah, that's how you do that. And then here, because we have a drip tray on the bottom, I can just take that off and stick it right onto the drip tray, and that's going to catch any sort of excess coffee that, you know, might still drip out of my pour over. We're getting caffeinated on the stream. I'm very happy there's still a lot of you guys watching, and I'm entertaining, right? Yes. Is there a scale in the arm or at the base? So this is an entire scale. It's right here. I just tap into that scale here. See, I can move it off, put it on. So this right here is a scale just by itself. So, you know, if you wanted to put this in your kitchen and you wanted to use this for non-coffee things, you totally can. This works well actually as a kitchen scale and a scale for any of your coffees. It is pretty fast and also decently sensitive as well. So, you know, I'm putting my arm down on this table, so that's why you kind of see the numbers fluctuate like that. But it's very responsive in terms of like how I want to weigh things. So yeah, there you go. Now let's brew. Man, we got so many choices on how we brew. But since we're partnering with AeroPress, I want to show you guys a cool AeroPress brew. So this is an AeroPress Clear. I think let's get into the app. Let's do the app for this one. Or we could do the app for it, or we could brew manually. There's always so many choices. This is like whenever I'm brewing, you know, of course we're doing it for the camera and doing it for the stream. Whenever I'm brewing, I'm like, oh man, you know, I love brewing manually on Studio. It's just so much fun to do that. But I'm gonna try to see if I can build a recipe, if I can do this, if I'm smart enough to do this on the fly while also talking. Let me show you guys this real quick, and then we'll get into some recipe building. So brewer here, you can really change kind of the max volume of what you want to dispense. It's showing me a scale here, and I can go and adjust flow rate. So say I have Caleb sending me recipes. All right, well, I'm just gonna do that. Okay, hold on. Do you have okay, he has an AeroPress. So Caleb, who is in the chat, he sent me AeroPress high extraction recipe. Oh, I need to unlock your phone. Okay, you need to. Okay. This is Richard's phone, so I can't get into that. But he shared a recipe. So we have a guy on the stream who shared a recipe with me. So I open it up right here. Can you see that? So we got AeroPress high extraction recipe. The 16 grams. Oh, this is actually by Fernando, who is from AeroPress. So he made a recipe. He sent that over to me. And what I can do is I can open up in the app. So you can see that basic setup here. So I need to make sure I have 16 grams, and it's bypassing the grinder. So I'm going to grind first, and I'm going to put the 16 grams in the AeroPress. And then here are the 3 different pours that he has created with the temperature, as well as the flow rate and the exact pouring patterns he uses. So I'm just going to open this up, an app, open an xBloom coffee. All right. Oh God. Cool. Let's see if that worked. This might not. Let me reopen it real quick. Yeah. Okay, I think it's because Richard has some security settings on his phone. It's like it didn't want to open up, so he's gonna open it up again.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah. So let me have Richard do that. But yeah, that recipe was 16 grams. Okay, here we go. Now he opened it up. It was trying to Face ID, and I don't have Richard's face. But yeah, so this is the recipe Fernando from AeroPress sent us. So he says recipe shared by Fernando, AeroPress high extraction. This is in the app now. Before we saw like a web preview of it, so now it's in the app. So like this is a recipe sent from our friend Fernando all the way in New York. He has a studio. He made a recipe for the AeroPress, and he sent it to us. So now what I can do is I can actually share it, or I can download it and save it into here. So there was a little download button. I hit save there, and now it's in here. I can make full edits to the recipe, or I can just start and do it. But let me go ahead and actually let me like weigh out some coffee and begin brewing. It's a live demo, guys. Let's see. Which coffees? We keep brewing the same coffees. We could brew other coffees. Let's brew this one. This is a coffee from Sorolina, which we will actually feature very, very soon for you guys in the States here. This is a Wilton Benitez coffee, so this is a fun process coffee. So Fernando's recipe says 16 grams. He also has, so also here, if I edit it, so I can look at all the way down to what settings he has here. So like if I go back here, right, here's the basic stuff, but I can go in here and I can see like he's got, you know, how complex of a recipe he came up with. But as you see, he set it as other. So it tells me, okay, you know, and he put it just in the name. Like there are notes for the recipe essentially. It says use 60, grind size 60, and set it at dose 16. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So he used grind size 60. So we're just following, you know, some of the recipes that he has set. But like you can get more complex or more like automated if you're doing something like OmniDrip or XPods, where it's like, you know, it's gonna grind for you, have everything all set up for you. Here. Grind that. And let me get this AeroPress set up. You need to unlock your phone so I can start the recipe. Can we swap this coffee out? Okay, so I got the recipe here. Now I'm going to show you guys something fun. That coffee is really good. So here is AeroPress. Is the camera looking good? Is battery still got battery life? Still looking good? Okay, all right, good. Always afraid. So here, you know, no static. Watch this secret secret technique. Take your AeroPress. So I got the filter in here, flow control cap, like this. So this fits your 58 millimeter portafilters, but also works great for AeroPress. Just stick it here, flip it over, and there you go. So now all of my coffee is in the AeroPress. And then what I can do is I just take this here, because this is the flow control cap, so it's not gonna leak or anything. I can just take this, set it on the scale, on the drip tray, and set my AeroPress right under there. So there we go. I just like align this here, right under the spout, and you are ready to brew. You're gonna need to look. We're using Richard's phone for this. But yeah, it's so much fun to brew coffee with this. And this is Bluetooth connected. See if we can wake up here. Oh yeah, if you just want to start it, it's gonna tell you, pour a coffee and do a bunch of stuff. Let's see if I can get this to work. And have water. Oh, I need to add water. That is I try to brew without water in the. That's why it wasn't working, because I was looking at when you're, I don't see the front of the display when I'm doing these demos. So yeah, just for a big FYI is, yes, the machine will not let you brew if you don't have water in it. All right. Now I need you to unlock your phone again. Right. Or you can start, see if that recipe is still there. Ready? Yeah, sure. Okay. You gonna start?
Press start.
Start. So you see it loaded up all of that, and it bypassed the grinder, and now it's brewing. So Richard actually just hit start. Yeah, and then you need to flip it this way. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys can see this here. It's rotating. You have your phone rotation set. Well, here, let's show off the rest. Let's show off like what it's looking at. So this is an app brewing here. I don't know if the camera is seeing that, but you can see what the recipe is doing, and you can kind of see the live readout of everything. So, we see like, oh, this is the pour we're on right now. This is what is pouring, what the temperature is, and for how long. And then it's gonna kind of go through the rest of this, this recipe. And this was a recipe that our friend Fernando from AeroPress made. He sent it over, and all we did is, we just ground the coffee at the setting that he set, and we just are gonna let this go. But this is a thing that you can do is like if you got a bunch of friends with studios, you can share these recipes with them. And it's telling me what the next different steps are. But yeah, and then you can kind of just put your phone here. Fits in there, so you have a pseudo little display, a dual display as we'd call it. You get the information here, but you also get a closer display of like the flow rate, the temperatures, and all of that going. It's a little fancier as well, or if you want to look at graphs and whatnot, you can do that. But yeah, so that's like that's a fun one there. And then after this pours one more, I think we can just plunge it. But yeah, so that's we'll just let this brew, because this is gonna go up to 264 mils. Some slight things too, I guess, is like you could do on original, you could only do increments of 5 mils. This one you could do like down to the mil, one mil. And yeah, I'm gonna get my carafe ready. Yeah, this is just a quick example from Fernando. He made us a recipe, sent it over, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, now it says pour 3 of 3, and we have 264 mils here on the recipe, 264 here. And then what I can do is I can just take this here, because this is leak proof, or put it back on, whatever way you want to do it, and just put it on here and plunge. I think there's he built in a timer on the recipe as well, but what I can do is I can just I should probably plunge this, or maybe I took it off without it doing. No, I think it's working. This is the first time I tried this recipe, so Oh, I think I needed to keep it on here. Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, so he had a timer on here. So I think his timer, okay, I see. So he has the timer set up there because I think it's supposed to tell us when to plunge, because this is for an AeroPress recipe. With a pour over dripper, you would just let it sit there and then it would finish. But with the AeroPress stuff, you can just have a built-in timer for like how long you want to steep, basically. So yeah, he actually built in a timer into this recipe. So okay, I needed to look at what he was doing real quick. So we see people already building pretty complex recipes out there, and so you can kind of go like pretty crazy with how you want to do this stuff. So here we go. If you want to take a look here, here's a basic record of everything. So we have all of our enjoy your cup. There you go. Information. And there we go. So yeah, now I'm back at the main menu, but I could take all these recipes, build them to my heart's content, share them with my friends. They don't even need to have, like they just need to have like a machine. I have no idea what I'm saying anymore. I'm getting caffeinated, but like, yeah, we want to basically create this fun experience of brewing coffee, right? Be able to make the recipes you want, use the brews you want, use the grinders you want, use the coffee you want, and be able to share them across the board. This was the recipe we just showed there was let's not use the grinder, because like we could have ground coffee on a different grinder and put it into the AeroPress, and we could have gotten his pouring pattern for that, right? His like steeping, the temperature he wanted, and all of that in this specific recipe. So it's pretty fun. And if you wanted to, I guess, do QC and do fun testing between like 10 million grinders, you could do that if you're a coffee nerd. But yeah, that's like a brief example of the recipe sharing. I have a million messages I need to catch up on. Oh my God. There's like so many. Still 100 people. Nice. There's a lot more people than I expected to hang out with us tonight. But yeah, depending on how crafty you are with these recipes, like this recipe here we just did was the timer was built into there for the plunge. So that's why I was like, oh, when is it gonna finish or is it gonna keep going? And so it's like pretty fun in terms of like how crafty you wanna be with recipe brewing. Is like you can start really tapping into like playing around with different times, different pausing, and that was a nice way to indicate this is when you should stop steeping and you should plunge, is just literally with the timer. Really smart. All right. I'm just like, what else should we show off? We showed off brewing your own coffee, using your own brewers, using Omni Dripper, using AeroPress, sharing recipes. We could brew with an XPod if you wanted to, but yeah, I've had a lot of coffee. I'm gonna drink some more coffee now, but I'm gonna put it out to you guys now. So let's do a Q&A, and then Richard's been helping me out with the camera here, so he can come back here and we can answer any sort of questions.
We also have some pipe here.
Oh yeah, sure. If you want to crack that open. So at the back here, I mean, well, this is just an example, but just take a tube 1/4 inch outer diameter, and that plugs right into the back here. Oh, let's do a full reset of this, and then we can show off how the initial setup of the machine is if you wanted to do that. But it's pretty straightforward. We just can only make it so clean, you know? So yeah, at the back here, water inlet, you can literally just unplug this and take your tube, and then you can like run it into a big jug, you can run it into a 5-gallon, you can do a ton of stuff there. So I know a lot of people were asking for plumb in with original and all of that. Brew a pod. Press and hold the right button. Yeah. Oh yeah. So let's see if Richard. So this is I just went back to do the initial setup of the machine. So yeah, we can brew a pod also, but this is the initial setup. So when you are brewing, or when you pick up the machine, you unbox it. You can set between Celsius, Fahrenheit, right? See Celsius and Fahrenheit. I'll put this machine to Fahrenheit. I can go in and change the units that the scale uses. So this says weight. I got grams, milliliters, ounces. I'll just set it to grams because I like grams. And then I can pick between tank and tap. I actually haven't plumbed this specific machine in, but we could try to do that. We can try to see if this works out. Here, let's open this up. We got to get some scissors.
I have everything.
Yeah. We can try plumbing the machine in live for you guys. Hopefully it works. Okay. So there's just a little inlet cover, so make sure you you take that off. We've been entertaining for a while.
People are asking how to clean this machine.
Yeah, so cleaning the machine.
Well, the grinder, you can use this brush. right here. And basically there's very little retentions here, as you can see. And this drip tray is dishwashable, so I put it into my dishwasher every day, basically. I use it very often.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if the camera sees you guys, because now we're both here and we don't have a cameraman. But you just plug the tube in. I don't know if this will easily work, but we can. There's a long cable. We can put this on the floor if you want to.
You want to cut it short, or we can.
Yeah, we could if you want to cut it. Yeah, just cut it. So yeah, do that, and then I'm gonna set this to tap. You see the icon change on this display? And then now it should work. I want to dispense water into a vessel of some sort.
You can change it to room temperature if
Oh
you
yeah,
want.
sure, let's do it lower.
That's Fahrenheit?
Yeah, this is Fahrenheit.
Okay, yeah.
We do have RT and BP. So RT is room temperature and BP is boiling point.
Yes.
Just an FYI.
Yes.
Yep, so now it's running from the, it's draining from here.
Into the drip tray, so it should be okay.
Yep, it goes right into the drip tray.
You can take out the tank.
Yeah, I think I can take out, yep. See, now tank is gone. It's distributing water.
Okay, cool.
I need to pause this because our drip tray is going to overflow. But yeah, so it's that easy to switch between brewing through using the reservoir water or from your tank. So, if you really wanted to be from a convenience perspective, great, you can run it into a 5-gallon with your favorite water recipe, or you can, run lower water recipes through here and you can play around with 2 different water recipes for brewing coffee. It can all be plugged in at the same time too, which is fun.
And also everything is configurable in the app as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So here's a drip tray here. See here. Oh, spilling water over stuff. I'm nice and clean. Yeah, don't overflow your drip tray like crazy, like there. But yeah, you can just wipe off the scale. All this is clean. So yeah, that's like most of the I think that's like a lot of the features of Studio at this point. I do want to mention some few things that are happening as we wrap up, because we've been on for a bit of time. Let me go and just check something real quick on the camera. Cool, yeah, we're doing good. What else do we want to talk about? What else do you guys want to see? I think we've gone over so much stuff. I do want to kind of like do a little bit of a nice wrap up in terms of like future things we're working on. Because there's always stuff in the future that we look at doing. Oh, let's move this out of the frame. So, let me see, there's a million messages. So one thing that we're doing, well, we have a lot of new coffees coming up, but we're thinking about trying to tap into a lot more events this year. We really want to show you guys Studio. Like, Studio is such a cool machine. And this is another one of these things where it's like, it looks great in the photos, it looks great in videos, but until you see it with your own eyes and you get a taste coffee off of it, that's kind of what ties it all together. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll do like certain events in LA or New York and all of that. If you guys have any specific requests in terms of like cafes we should go to, people we should work with, like we're super open to all of that. Some other brief things too is like, we have some community-made things happening as well. Like on the original machine, we is a personal friend of mine here, Harry, who created this filter smusher for the Omni dripper. That's coming. I know a lot of you guys picked this up for original. Is also coming. This community-led effort, which is awesome. We've also seen a lot of community-created products that popped up for original, like. Actual cover for the reservoir, things like that. So we're really excited to see what the community does with this machine, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun there. But otherwise, like let me see if any. Your laptop's about to die. Let me see what else is there. Is there a self-cleaning? Yeah, so you can, we'll post a lot of videos coming in the future on maintenance and cleaning and all the basic things that you want to do to upkeep the machine. We're gonna release a bunch of videos on like all the things I just did in the live demo. I'm going to release like a more formal video on, brewing AeroPress, using the app, cleaning, and all of that. Those will be videos that will come out.
And also we have a Drink Global program that we actually drop shipping a lot of the like well-known roasters around the globe.
Yeah, so
Manhattan is one of them, Kurasu,
Apollon's Gold. So I think our stream is, our live stream might be, we're getting low internet connection. Okay. I think it's still on. Okay, here we go. It was a little frozen for us. Okay. So yeah, we are gonna have this might come out soon, but we're gonna go do like a fun coffee from our international coffee marketplace, Drink Global Coffee Marketplace, and we're gonna offer. I already got some. This is the AeroPress. Yeah. We live in a world where you can make an AeroPress with the xBloom. So yeah, we are gonna have a bunch of different things coming out. Coffee releases is a big one. The nice thing with this machine is we can have a lot of flexibility in terms of offering coffees that come in whole bags or in pods, and we can have various levels of like guidance and making cards. This is so much fun with how we want to express coffee brewing with Studio. So that's all coming. We have at launch the Proud Mary Deluxe coffee that will ship with the machine. And then we're also going to think about we might have some other add-ons, like an add-on of a Drink Global coffee. If you purchase the machine, we'll sort all of that out already. Honestly, thank you if you picked one up already. Really want to thank you for supporting us through all of this. But yeah, otherwise, that's Studio. I think we're wrapping up now. We've been on for a bit. I think our stream is it's about time to wrap up. Yeah. So want to thank you all for joining us and the unveiling of Studio and having fun with us on this casual live stream. I want to thank Richard here for also popping up on the stream here, and I want to thank everybody who has watched me for the past like 2 hours. Oh man. Right,
exactly.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Showed off all the different features. The machine is gonna have more updates. We're gonna have some firmware updates. We're gonna have software updates, all of that. But this is just the right out of the box experience. When you get your machine, you will have a fantastic time brewing coffee. And I want to thank you all for.
Yeah, we hope to see you in one of those offline events.
Yeah, we'll have some offline events.
We're probably gonna do some road trips with the machine, and hopefully we can meet every one of you.
Yep.
Yeah, in the future.
But otherwise, thank you so much, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. If you have any questions, let us know. But otherwise, this is xBloom Studio, and I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys later.
Right.